name is Jawan, or as most of my friends call me, Brother Options. And we're here.
Alright, so pretty much, I'm just want you to speak about your personal police experience, uh, what you've experienced, or anything you've seen. I'll just let you start talking.
It's a, it's a, it's a real slippery slope when it comes to like anything with police, especially for me because as I tell a lot of people, as I took a school related path, most of the people in my family hasn't. So police was kind of something that I seen very often, and there was a lot of mixed experience with it. It's either it was a very simple transition, or it's the one we usually see on TV, or just like throughout the media, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. Two experiences that happened to me personally would be I remember, what was I? 8 years ago maybe. I was about 15, and I was walking home. I was out drinking with my friends, and we stood up like 2 o'clock, just drinking, shooting the shit. And I'm walking back home, and as I'm walking back home, there's like sirens up the hill around where I live. So I'm just like, all right, something must have happened. So mind my business. I'm about to walk into my apartment, and black car drives up on me, and I'm like, okay, what's this about to be? And then there's 2 cops come out, flashlights and everything, and I'm just like, all right, just like calm down, relax, because as we've seen through shit, it's like it can get a lot worse if you don't do comply. So I did my best, and these two cops come up to me. One's very chill like that, and the other one's like your typical cop that you see in the media. So the cool one's just like, where were you, yada yada yada, regular shit. And then I just tell him like I was from here, I was coming from here, and took a little walk down Clay Avenue to where I was going, and the other cop, this dude, he comes up and he's just like, we're looking for a suspect, yada yada yada. Have you seen this type of person? I'm like, no, I haven't, because I was coming from here. I was nowhere near this thing, and I guess you can say, the good one was just like, because he was dressed this and the third, and then the other one kind of slides in, and it's funny what he did. He he flashed his light on my shorts, and he said he was like, the guy had like, I guess like light green shorts in the scene. It was like, it looks like you fit the description. And it was crazy because it was like the light made it look like I had light green shorts on.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like he was kind of like stereotyping a little bit. So I'm just like, well, if you take, I didn't say it, I kind of implied, just like, well, if you take the light off, you would see like these are like just black, not like green. So the other one was just like, all right, he definitely isn't. Then he just checked my bag, which I was again lucky, because where I worked at, I needed a box cutter to just like work there. So it was one in my bag. So I know that would have been a whole lot worse if that was seen. So I was able to just like conceal it a little bit, how I opened the bag, so they wasn't able to see that, and they both just let me go. So that was one where it's just like, all right, maybe it's not as exaggerated as the media says, and maybe it's like this stuff really happened. Another one, which is I guess the most unfortunate one that's happened to me because of like other I guess family ties, if you want to call it, where my apartment was raided by police about a year ago. It was about 6 o'clock in the morning. Me and my girlfriend was asleep, and I was getting ready to shower, just do a regular thing. And once I opened the door, it's like 5, 6 cops just like in the hallway, and they just like go back in the room. I was like, all right, sure. So this wasn't something new, unfortunately. This was one of those things where it's like I was never there for them. So this was like the first time like I was like actively in this whole shit that was happening. So I close the door, take a deep breath to realize what the hell's about to happen. And I wake my girlfriend up, or try to, and I just tell her, just get up. She says, why? And the second she says why, just cops start banging on the door, just like, you guys gotta come to the living room. So we get to the living room, and get to the living room and there's more of them. I think it was like 10 to 15 in there at one time, just like taking my brother out and just like, you know, taking shit out as they were doing what they were doing. And it was me and my girlfriend, my younger siblings, my mother and her boyfriend, and annoyed me the most about this, besides, you know, actually getting raided, was boyfriend was kind of just making it a lot worse by just like yelling, just, you know, doing the, oh, I know my rights and this, that, and the third. And then most of the cops were just like, that's not what we asked for. We just asked you to, you know, to go to the living room. So again, it's like, and once they finally got him to just sit down and shut up, we were all just sitting there, just like watching the whole thing unfold. And then it was just like, there was some of them, it was just like, you know, just calm down, make this as quick as it can. And there was other officers who was trying to like, you know, sending threats. So just like, you know, this could happen if you don't do this, you know, just being very passively aggressive and, you know, making the situation a lot worse than it needs to be. Not only for everybody there, but, you know, just like for the safety of everybody, you know. It just felt like with them there, it was much more of a danger, you know, of just like how the power trip they felt of just like, you know, we can do this whenever we want to. And it put things into perspective, you know, just like, you know, seeing things just like cops are just like, you know, oh, kill you just like that, and no one would be the wiser. This would be the same one, just like, you know, we can arrest all of you, no one would be the wiser, no one would care. And it really like, it hits home. It's like those were like the main two biggest ones. Luckily I'm still here, so we got out of that unscathed. But just having the whole thing just like, you know, wrecked and everything, just like siblings just being scared and they can't do anything, I can't do anything to help them, and just like, you know, of how rough, I guess you could say, like the whole situation was, and just like how hard it really do be for like us people of color, just, you know, to just even want. Is everything okay?
No, you.
Right. Just like want to even like talk or comply to the police, because it's like, and you could say one thing the wrong way and then it's just like you're either arrested or you're dead. And it really like, and it's scary, especially as I try to like tell my little brother about these things, just like, you know, this is shit that happens. It's not like some shit that just, you know, happens in the news and all. It's things that really go down, and it kills me that I don't think this is a experience with police for me personally, just like being able to see it, especially, you know, just living in like, you know, hoods and shit like that, of just like how, I'm trying to word this, how less of an urgency it is to like help people over there. Because when I went to school in Buffalo for 4 years after I got my degree, it just seemed like if cops were called, they would be like, because we were like in a suburb type of area, so it was just like if cops called, it came like that. But, you know, call it down here, like any of the hoods down here, it's just like it's delayed, it's slowed, and you're not even guaranteed to get help. Or it would just be like, pop in, is everything okay? Yes, okay, and go about it. But opposed to like, you know, if it was in a different neighborhood or somebody who wasn't of color, then it's like, oh, we need to do this and this and the third, and just like it sucks, and it just sucks. It sucks.
So like, do you feel that, and like, I'm not gonna say it, but like in the hood, like the cops literally don't care about their community. I
feel like there's a select few that do, and I'm not trying to make the argument of, you know, there are good cops, you know, shit like that. No, it's just like there are people who like want to do their job but they can't, because it's like, you know, how the thing is set up doesn't allow them to do it. Or like, you know, you get those select good cops that, you know, try to point out like, oh, we try to like help the kids out, you know, it's the ones that you see playing ball with them and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ones that you never see, or those are the ones that are put on duty so little that you never see them, or like they get so much of these other restrictions literally just because they're being a good person. And I find that like sickening, because it's like there are those cops that just, you know, and there's more of them than there aren't, of just like they get that power trip, you know, of just like, you know, I can do whatever I want to you, especially because you're a person of color, and no one will be the wiser. And it becomes more apparent, like the more you like just like to look into things, and like you just go to like any other neighborhood, or like hell, this was a big one. There's not, I guess not really experience with police, but something I saw. I was up in Buffalo, cause I went to a private school. You know, I ain't never see an officer a day in my life. I ain't never see Buffalo police like ever, and never. I've heard the sirens, but I would assume that's the ambulance. I've never like ever had to see them. We're opposed to like being in high school, like there was fucking cops scattered like flies.
Mm-hmm.
That shit gets normalized, and I hate it because it's like it gets to a point where at least where I think that when people like in lower income neighborhoods or like in the hood or anything like that, it's like interactions with police become normal. It's just like you expect it. You expect to see police in your schools. You expect to see like police on every corner, the street lights, you know, the patrols, and all that shit. And it just doesn't even give you a sense of safety after a while. It gives you a sense of, well, for me, because you know I had like a much different path, but that's not what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
But it's like you just don't feel you don't feel safe. You always feel on edge, and I guess it leads into like the the school to prison pipeline shit. It's just like go there and it's like it's so fucking hard because it's like there's so many things stacked against you, and there's so many cops around. Not even just high schools and middle schools as well, which is wild to think about. People just being like 12, 14 years old and they have to see cops in their school just because of all the shit that's going around in their neighborhoods, and the fact that all of this shit happens in our neighborhoods and it's like they don't do anything about it, when it just seems like that's that's a hood or a low income place, and it's just like that's what's gonna happen. We're not gonna like put any extra steps to like actually making it safe instead of just like being just fear mongers or just making it seem like you're supposed to fear us, where especially with all the shit that happens in the media, and it's like it makes it more and more to believe that that's what they want to do. Like that leads again to the oh, there are good cops and shit like that, but it's like, well, where are they, or why is there so many bad ones, or ones that are just like so incompetent with their job and the shit they do. It's just like, from George Floyd, or that one story of just like there's a white, I forgot his name, but there's this white dude. It was like some building, and this cop comes in, guys, hands up on his knees, crawling all fours, like lays like 9 shots in the homie, and nothing happens to him. And it's really just like, well, the main argument of just like, it's people of color, and then it's like, a white guy gets shot up, and it's like, nothing happens to him. So it's like that really puts things into just like, how can we really trust police? Because it's like, they can do whatever the fuck they want, or it takes a very, very specific type of person, like blue-eyed, blonde hair, like white girl that gets shot or some shit. Not even trying to like sound anything crazy or nothing, but it's like it seems like it needs like somebody of just like either high status or just like the facial qual for them to actually do shit. Because it's like any like, hopefully it doesn't happen. Like one of us, me and you, could just like get hit by a cop one day, and it's just like, all right, probably get like a couple days off the force, or like get transferred somewhere else. Life goes on for them, but for us, one of us is either one of us, our time stops, or one of us hurt because my homie's time got stopped. And it's just like it's not fair.
Yeah, nah, I agree.
You go ahead. No, I didn't know if you were gonna ask something else.
Oh, no, continue.
But it's just for me, personally, with like the original question, just like my experiences with police and everything, it's just like it's been a couple, and I've experienced them a couple times, but I've seen experiences a whole lot more, and just of how ruthless they can be. I remember watching something as a kid. I was looking out the window, and this guy was running from the cops, and he was on his knees and hands on his back. Sooner or later, cops come in and just like kicks the shit out of him in his head, and they just start beating him up, and it's just like he's defenseless, can't really do nothing for himself. There's so many other cases of just like just all this excessive force and all of this just like shootings and killings and all those other different ways of just like mistreating like people. Or even a greater example is like I remember hearing one about like this doctor was with his patient. He had like autism or something, and guy's on the floor, lay down on his back, hands up, and was just like, I know this person. This is like my client. Don't shoot me. Still shot him anyway. So it's like, well, what else do you want us to do? And it's like when we rebel or doing shit right now, it's like, oh, they're apes, they're criminals, this, that, and third. We don't do anything, and it's like it still happens, and it's just like I remember this my favorite tweet I've seen recently. It's just like this woman just like, police don't do anything to you if you obey the rules, and then somebody immediately after says like, well, Breonna Taylor was asleep, she still got shot up. Mm-hmm. So it's like, again, what do you want us to do? It's only so much that we can do, because like we've done literally peaceful and aggressive. In either way, the same result has happened. We're doing these two things specifically against racism and just like unfair justice of like people of color, and they respond with more racism. So it's like, come on, like, yeah, it's not on us anymore. It's like we've done it peacefully. I still haven't reacted. We've done it aggressively, and I've just gotten more aggressive to the point where it's like that's not what we want. And that leads again to the people who always try to make up like the All Lives Matter movement to counteract Black Lives Matter, which is a group of people on their own. Mm-hmm. But it's as I learned this, and just like making an argument of just like the X and Y, in order for X to happen, you need Y. Y doesn't need X. So it's like, in order for all lives matter, Black lives have to matter. That's part of the all. White people are not all the people on earth. As much as they want to believe that, that's not how it is. So it's like, in order for this to make sense, you have to stop treating Black lives, Spanish lives, people of color, mm-hmm. all of these people unfairly. Black lives will still matter. Spanish people of color, all those people will still matter without this hashtag. You can ask anybody who follows BLM, the movement. It's just like, we're not saying y'all lives don't matter. We're not saying our lives matter more. All we're saying is that you guys are treated better than us. It is literally seen. It's not subtle. It's not something where it's just like, oh, maybe this is racism ended, a couple of years ago, and then, we got like redlining and shit that happened immediately after racism and segregation ended, which made things, again, harder for Black, Spanish, people of color, mm-hmm. and it just continues to happen. And then, if you want to be blind to it, okay, then we'll look at it like this, we'll go through any low-income neighborhood. How many white people do you see? Not a lot. Exactly. Why? Because they're in, they get the opportunities to be, these middle class, better places to live, where we, more often than not, have to just scrap through and get by. And I remember telling my brother about this too. Just like, it's kind of like it's literally like, set up for us to fail. It's like, because all like, I guess you could say the good stores, just like, all like safe places, like, like high-end stores like Gucci and things like that. Mm-hmm. That's in their neighborhoods, or like Whole Foods, that's another great example. That's in their neighborhoods, but like us, it's just like, it's much cheaper options, it's like more fast food, and all these things which just like, it's cheap but it's easy to buy. So like once money comes, it's like it's easy to go up there. So it's like, again, that's another thing. And then we tie back into like, school to prison pipeline, was just like, going to like a middle class education, mm-hmm. and a low income education, completely different things. So it's just like, they're taught this, they don't got to deal with police. They have much higher chances for AP classes, higher understanding of colleges and things more. Where it's just like, we're lucky to even learn that. And most of the shit like, like taxes, stocks, things like that, that matter in the real world. Mm-hmm. How to rent a house, what's credit, things like that. We gotta learn that on our own. And more often than not, most of us don't even learn that till like we're like 28, 30 years old. Most of the time it's just like, what we're taught here, what I've seen, just literally having the two different perspectives. It's like we're taught here, go to college. There it's like, go to college because of this. It's literally just like, from literally what I've seen, it's just like, we're just told this to do this. And there's no like rhyme or reason to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another crazy thing that I feel like it's just like, doesn't have to do with, I know this doesn't deal with police, but it kind of like all ties back to like, interactions with them. So, I'm sorry. So I find it like really wild how people just like think like, oh, they have to be there, and it's like, no, it's because y'all put us in situations where we're forced to survive. And more often than not, most people's instinct when it comes to survival is killing one another, which is why all of this shit happens. Like, it kills me that all the people who try to like make it seem like this stuff isn't happening, or like people aren't dying, or racism isn't happening, or segregation and all of this stuff. It's not as bad or ruthless as it was like 40 years ago, somewhere around there. But it's still here, and it's still as rough, and it's, I guess it's modern on because it's like I remember reading a study at like my time in school, and it was like people like you can get you can like, excuse me, tongue tied, where you can get declined a job literally because of your name.
Yeah.
Like, literally, if your name sounds like black or anything, and you could be two people the same resume, same qualifications, same experience to the T, James and John, or like Jawan and John, $100 John would get called first. And that's another thing. That's one of those like those sly. It's a sly one. They make it seem like oh, we're not getting hosed anymore, or we're not getting whipped, or we're not getting lynched publicly anymore, because that's still happening, and that's like, it's like, like y'all literally use police in like our lives to just like keep us down, where it's like other people, it's like to protect them, and it's like those a good majority of the All Lives Matter people have high support for like Confederate flags and the KKK, from what I've seen, and it's just like, how like counterintuitive that is, right? How these two things are exact like negations of the things we all want to move across. And I'm not saying like all white people, because there's a lot of them who's just like, we're tired of this shit too. We're tired that people really still think like this, or really believe that fucking cops are treating everybody fairly, where you look at your George Floyd, your Breonna Taylors, your Tamir Rice's, things like that. Like again, it goes boiled down to like, what more could you want us to do? Like playing with a toy gun, going to fucking sleeping in a fucking Wendy's parking lot. How the hell is that fair? If just me literally like that, I forgot his name. But just that guy recently who was just sleeping in the Wendy's, and some woman was just so scared for her life for some reason that a man was in his own car sleeping, and that man had to lose his life. And it's just like come on, again, something's got to give, and it's definitely not us.
Mm. That's it?
Was that it?
Do you want to talk more?
I think I'm good.
All right.
I feel like that was a minute.